Welcome back to the all-female edition of NHL Now. We're very excited to welcome Lynn White into studio. She is the Group Vice President for International Strategy for the NHL. Lynn, thank you for your time. We appreciate having you here in studio.
Yeah, thrilled to be here and join you ladies. Thanks so much.
Well, for anyone watching that might not know what you do, give us kind of the background of your sort of day-to-day and the key part of your job.
Sure. So I'm responsible for executing the league's business outside of North America, so in all of our international markets. It takes on a variety of different things. I execute and plan our games that we play internationally. So every time we bring an NHL club overseas, either to Europe or China, I'm responsible for planning those games and all the activities around it. And then I work in a lot of our other businesses. So we have a merchandise business and a media business and a sponsorship business outside of North America. So working on all those things as well.
You sound like a busy lady.
And Lynn, for some of the people that might not know, the NHL has played in Europe and China. Where are some of the locations they have played?
Sure. So we've actually played in quite a number of places. In Europe, we've played in Sweden and Finland, the Czech Republic, Germany, Switzerland, the UK, among others, Slovakia. And then we recently embarked on a new series of playing games in China. So in 2017 and 2018, we played games in China for the first time, which is really exciting as we grow our business there as well.
What do you think you're most proud of? What's your biggest accomplishment in your couple decades now at the league, and growing the game, obviously, at the international level?
I think it's really introducing our sport to new fans. I'll use China as a really good example where there's really not a history of hockey. So when we embarked on this initiative to grow the game there, it's really about starting at the very basic level and teaching people the game. It's introducing not just the brand of the NHL, but the sport as well, and explaining to them and showing them why it's exciting and dynamic and why, you know, they should be a fan of the game.
You know, it's so perfect to have you on for this edition of the show because that is such an important initiative for the NHL, and you're sort of heading it all up. For any girls watching at home that are looking to get involved in sport from a business standpoint or from a corporate standpoint, what advice would you have for them just in terms of sort of taking that path?
Sure. So I think that maybe there's a slight misconception that you need to be an athlete. That's certainly one of the pathways to be in sports and to be a sports executive. But I think there are a lot of different areas of expertise that you can really bring to bear in the sports industry. I mean, clearly we're all marketers. I mean, at every level we're marketing the game. Yeah. So marketing and sales, perfect entry point to the game. Now there's a huge focus on data and analytics. So the people who can crunch numbers and analyze that data, that's, you know, another pathway into the business. I mean, and clearly from a broadcast and media side, you know, if you've got a journalism background, yet another way to enter the business. So I'd say that really what it is find your passion and then apply that to sports, and that's, you know, I would say the best way to forge a path.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's such a great point. You talk about passion. One of my passions is clearly playing, and we talk about the growth. The International Ice Hockey Federation Women's World Championships are seeing an increase. We're adding 2 more teams to the World Championships this coming month. And so from your standpoint, how have you seen the game grow internationally from a women's standpoint?
Yeah, so I mean, there clearly has been a lot more interest, and I think that part of that is a result of simply coverage, right? I mean, there's more attention on the women's game, and you know, what we're seeing is now where people are seeing the skill level of the women playing the game and the excitement around those games, it's just generating more interest, and as a result, it's more growth. I mean, the more you expose the sport to girls, the more they're going to play. And you know what? And maybe they will not ultimately ever play, but they'll at least appreciate the sport and become fans of the NHL that way.
What is it like for you personally to work as a woman at the NHL at the executive level? I mean, you've obviously had a very successful career. Have you seen women's representation grow at the league as well?
Absolutely. So I have to give a kudos to the senior leadership at the NHL, from the commissioner and the deputy commissioner on down. I would say that they're gender blind with respect to the executives there. But it is important to have more women executives because it just brings a different perspective. There's a different voice at the table, and having a diversity of opinion and a diversity of thought is always good for every business because simply it just allows everyone to look at things from a different perspective.
Now, you've been working for the NHL for over 20 years. The game has changed a lot over that time. I mean, what maybe surprises you the most about how much has changed over the last couple decades?
I think the focus on skill and speed now, as opposed to as opposed to sort of the
physicality
of the game. Thank you very much. That we've seen in the past, and I also think it's the role that women have played in the growth of the game. There's clearly more. Our player base is more diverse now. I think we've seen a lot of growth at the league level.
And how many teams were there in the league when you started?
26 when I started.
26. There's about to be 32.
That's awesome.
So yes, the NHL has certainly grown over the last 24 years. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks so much, ladies.